What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Blazers Uprise Live here on a Monday night. Eric is on vacation, so instead we got Crushables in his place. First time being able to live stream and actually do some content with you, man. How was your day? How are you going? That's what I always ask Eric. So how was your day, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for asking me. I just got done watching my Commanders and the Ravens preseason streak, so that was pretty cool. And then now we're here, so I'm having a great night. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I've been busy today as I dropped my 1v1 versus Stephen Vaughn. So I'm not going to spoil that video if you guys haven't watched it, but over on the main channel, there's a 1v1 with Stephen Vaughn. I know you guys were asking for that for a while, so finally got that out. And then, no, man, it's just cool to be live with you. Eric is out enjoying his life right now over the next couple of weeks, so switching things up a little bit, which is kind of nice in the dog days of August. And we actually have some stuff to talk about today. Of course, the stream that Eric is gone for, we actually have some signings.
Yeah.
Joe Cronin actually did something. He was just waiting for Eric to go on vacation. It wasn't really much of anything. I don't know if you could even call it something, because he signed Ashton Hagans to an Exhibit 10 contract. We can talk a little bit about him. When he made that signing, everybody was freaking out about another guard, and Joe Cronin, I guess, heard that criticism and went and signed a center. And the center is Moses Brown, who is brought back to Portland. Of course, he played here a couple of seasons ago on a two-way contract. And is now a couple years seasoned. He might be a veteran on this team at this point, and thankfully he's somebody that's taller than me, so that is kind of the benchmark. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Damian Lillard unfollowing the Portland Trail Blazers on Instagram, because that caused a ruckus over the past couple of days. And then we'll take questions from chat. You know, we got Crushables here. You guys can ask them questions later on, and we can just kind of chill, hang out. Should be a pretty nice stream. Anyway, chat, how was your day? What did you accomplish today? Yes, Eric looks very different. Eric de-aged by like 20 years.
Yeah, I'm going to do my best to fill Eric's shoes. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'm going to do my very best.
Yeah, okay, what's CBA rule number 21 byline letter B?
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. That's for Eric, so.
Before we jump into things, let's thank Bet Online, our sponsor for today's stream. Use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for a 50% reward bonus over on Bet Online. Baseball season is entering the stretch run. It's almost September, and my Seattle Mariners, my Seattle Mariners are on a 7-game winning streak. They are 2 games out of the division. I'm really hyped about baseball right now, all of a sudden, because my team is on a tear. And if you want to get hyped about baseball, you can get in on some action over at betonline.ag with a reward bonus. You can put some money down on whoever your favorite team is with that promo code BELIEVE. Who's your favorite team? Do you watch baseball at all?
Not much of a baseball watcher, but if I did have to choose, it'd be the Kansas City Royals. I've been to like 7 Royals games in my life when I was younger, and then, yeah, it's been a while since I've been to one, but if I did have to choose, it'd be the Royals, but I'm not much of a baseball guy, I'll be honest.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people in chat are. It seems like a lot of Blazer fans don't really pay attention to baseball. We're here in Portland without our MLB team that we've been waiting for an MLB team for a decade or so, and the Diamond Project hasn't really turned up anything so far. So I am a Mariners fan. Shout out to all my Mariners fans out there. It's been a pretty good run that we're on, and I don't know. I just have a gut feeling that might be my first championship as a fan of any team. Will be my Mariners. So fingers crossed for that. But we're not here to talk about baseball. We're here to talk about basketball. David Lester said he met Stephen Vaughn today. Where'd you meet Stephen Vaughn, David? Where'd you run into Stephen? I'm curious. Anyway, what's up, Eric? We got Eric in chat. Hopefully you're enjoying.
What up, Eric?
Are you on? When did you get off the plane? Because are you flying right now? Or are you off the plane, Eric? I think he said he was flying in the morning. I forget.
Yeah, at least you guys didn't have to go live on a plane or whatever, or he didn't have to. Whatever you guys were trying to figure out. I remember you guys talking about that.
That would have been funny. That would have been fun, though.
That would have been interesting for sure.
Yeah. Eric, let me know if you landed, man. How is it? How's your vacation? How's things going for you? And with that said, let's just jump into things. So normally I kind of let Eric pick first.
Right.
What do you want to talk about first?
Let's start with the Damian Lillard and following the Blazers because that's like I mean, or we could go the Ashton Hagans thing as well, whichever.
Let's get the Instagram stuff out of the way.
Okay.
I am down to get that out of the way. It just got to be done with the whole social media stuff early, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the way I see social media, things like this happen all the time. Players unfollow the teams, and then they refollow. I mean, Dame is eventually probably going to be traded, I imagine. So I don't think it's really that big of a deal. We all know the situation and how things are going down. If you watch this, you definitely know. So, yeah, I don't think it's anything to be too upset about or be concerned about. I mean, it's eventually going to be where he's probably not going to be on this franchise anyway. So, and we all know that the front office kind of did him dirty in a way. So, I mean, it was to be expected, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't really understand the hoopla around it. I'm surprised he didn't unfollow them sooner.
Yeah,
I mean, we've been on this thing the whole entire way, man, and I don't. There are players out there who like do a social media detox and will unfollow accounts that are their teammates, and every single summer it's always like, oh, this one guy unfollowed his teammates and his team and unfollowed everyone. What's going on?
Or they'll delete every post on their Instagram or whatever, too.
Yeah. So, it's like LeBron has his, what does he call it? The playoff activation mode or something? I don't think that's right. But
I'm not even sure.
Chat, what is that called? Well, LeBron's whole thing where he gets off social media and it's kind of corny, where he just has to focus on the playoffs, right? So he's not going to tweet Taco Tuesday for the millionth time. Social media is, I have a mixed relationship with social media, but I've never been one to care about who follows who unfollows who. Like, it's not that big of a deal. If you're somebody that, worries about who athletes follow and unfollow, I wouldn't, all right? Dame obviously wants to be in Miami. He obviously doesn't want to be in Portland. Like, it's nothing new. If he did that before demanding a trade, then I understand raising some eyebrows, like, why did he unfollow Portland? But at this point, like, he's not going to change his stance. Nothing in this situation has changed in the past month. Him unfollowing, it doesn't really matter. I saw some people mad about it, though, and I didn't really understand that. I think that's really the most caring that I saw out of people was people that were kind of mad at him. And it seemed like they were more so mad about how he's always been cryptic with social media, and just seems like another reason for the people that are truly mad at him over this whole entire situation to just kind of complain about him. But as somebody who feels like he was done wrong by this front office, who feels like this front office lied to him, I don't care. Like, at this point, both parties need to move on for the betterment of both parties, because it doesn't really make too much sense to keep him here. We're not going to win with this roster built around him like this. We're not going to win with Moses Brown as the backup center behind Yusuf Nurkic. So at this point, it's just, I hope a resolution, because I ultimately expect him to get traded. I hope a resolution comes sooner rather than later, because if not, there's just going to be more stuff like this, and it's just kind of a headache.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hopefully this chapter closes. I mean, if he comes into training camp, it's just going to be so awkward, man. I don't know. I know that may be a possibility. It's just going to be so weird. It's just time to, they should have handled the offseason way better, and they didn't. It's time to just accept the Miami's offer, try to get the most you can, and move on, man. Unfortunately, this is just the reality of the situation with the way they handled this offseason.
So would you be happy with the proposed package that me and Eric have talked about? It seems like kind of a polarizing package. Some Blazer fans like it, some Blazer fans don't. Some Blazer fans are in the middle, and I feel like it's probably more towards the middle, but that package being Jovic, Hawkes, 4 future firsts, with Hero being flipped to a third team for 1 or 2 of those 4 future firsts. How are your feelings on that sort of trade package?
So obviously, I get some Blazers fans. There's definitely maybe a better package somewhere, whether it's like Utah or whatever a team may be. And I get that. That would be way better to go get the Minnesota's picks for the future. But with the way this offseason has gone, it just doesn't feel like that's going to be a possibility, especially with the way his agent and Dame came out, which I don't blame them at all for trying to get him to where he wants to go. I think the 4 first and then the 2 young players, honestly, like you guys have brought it up in the past, I just wish they would have just traded with Miami on draft night and we would have had control of that 18th overall pick, because now we get to take Jaime Jaquez in return, and I'm not even sure how I feel about Jaquez. Like maybe we could have drafted Cameron Whitmore at that point, but it's fine. I mean, it's just what we have to take. I think at this point, it's unfortunately what it is. It's not like Trap says it's best. Miami's offer is not amazing, but it's not awful either. And it's just kind of the reality of where we're at. Like I don't know if another team's going to step up with a good offer. I guess you could carry it till the trade deadline and maybe an injury occurs and some team gets desperate, but I don't know where that would come from. So yeah, I mean, I think Miami is going to be the team. Just 100%. The way it is, man.
So, I mean, bringing up the draft, it's just kind of going back to what me and Eric have always talked about. It's super frustrating still for me that this situation could have been handled cleanly with that 18th pick on draft night, because I don't see Joe Cronin not seeing this coming.
I know, it's so weird to me. Like, how do you expect to draft his replacement and be okay with it? Like, I feel like they just, obviously cared more about the PR and blaming Dame as the bad guy rather than actually planning for the future, which is just what the mess we're in right now, which really sucks.
Yeah, I just don't think it would have even been as bad of a PR play if they just went forward with Scoot saying we couldn't find a, viable path to moving forward with Dame, so we wanted to do what's best for him and traded him somewhere he wanted to go, which is Miami. But obviously, Joe Cronin doesn't want to look bad in a Dame trade, but with that 18th pick and Cam Whitmore being on the board, that's the type of boomer bust guy that could make that trade look pretty dang solid in the future if Scoot's able to develop, if Sharp's able to develop, and then you have Cam Whitmore maybe is that 3 next to those two guys. That could have looked like a good trade. The thing is like, I don't think Jaime Jaquez is ever going to swing the perception of a Dame trade one way or the other. He's probably going to be a solid bench player and probably nothing more. Like, he's a very safe pick, right? Which makes sense for a team like the Heat if they, weren't going to trade him. He makes sense for a guy that could come in and play minutes for them right away as they're contending, or he would make sense for another contender. Same thing with Chris Murray in that regard. But in a rebuild, obviously you want boomer bust guys, and Cam Whitmore is exactly that. Being able to get that type of boomer bust prospect back for Dame, I felt like would have made the trade a little bit more palatable, because they'll have other assets in a Dame trade with Miami. I just think in prolonging this, it definitely is a miss, because Hawkins might end up being the better player, but I would rather have that risky boomer bust guy and just rolling the dice with that, because that's what this team is going to need to look for over the next 2 to 3 years. They're going to need to take swings for the fences and hope they hit on a couple, and hope they end up with a couple of star caliber players next to hopefully a star caliber backcourt in Scoot, and then whichever one of Simons and Sharp is still here. So I definitely agree with that.
And they even had a look at Whitmore because he worked out for us on top of that. So
yeah, 100%. So, chat, give us your thoughts on that. How much better would you guys feel if the trade was done earlier and it was Cam Whitmore instead of Jaime Jaquez? Would that change your guys' opinions on things? Because obviously Cam Whitmore looked really good in Summer League. It would have been nice to be able to kind of enjoy Summer League instead of Dame just requested a trade. I'm still in my feelings about it. Watching Cam Whitmore go off, we probably would have won it all. So, yeah, I'll do a chat poll.
Yeah, let's do a chat poll. Yeah. I think Cameron Whitmore would have made a huge difference, like Trent just said. Like, that's the kind of young prospect you want out of a trade for Damian Lillard. So, if only they just planned ahead, man. We'll never know.
Yeah, 100%. So, while I type this chat poll, so you're not from the Portland area?
I am not from the Portland area.
Yeah, so what's kind of your backstory being a Blazer fan for anybody interested?
So I started watching basketball, getting really into it around, I believe it was either 2014 or 2015. For some reason, I think the first game I ever watched, and my dad was actually a Blazers fan as well growing up. But the one thing that really helped is I think the first thing I ever seen, or when I really started watching basketball, was Damian Lillard's game winner against the Rockets, and I was like, damn, that was crazy in the playoffs. And then I started watching when we had like Wesley Matthews, Robin Lopez, LaMarcus Aldridge. And that's when I really started watching the Blazers like crazy. So that's kind of like how I became a Blazers fan. Like my dad was part of that. And then obviously Dame shot. And then I just started watching them. And the first game I ever watched was Rockets versus Blazers in the regular season. And then obviously that was the year that Wesley Matthews tore his Achilles. And then we went on to, I believe, to lose to the Grizzlies in 5, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I've been watching since.
Yeah. So I was at that game. I was at that buzzer beater, man. Maybe the greatest moment of my life.
Yeah,
that was insane.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. Props to you for still being here.
Yeah.
After everything that's happened, because I'm from the Portland area, so it's real easy for me to get invested in this team from like I'm in the Portland area. I've always wondered this offseason with people that aren't from Portland, people overseas, people like you that are from a different part of the country, like how many people, how easy is it for people that aren't from the Portland area to kind of just check out from this team because they don't have that geographical connection? And surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, because I feel like we have a pretty diehard community, still having a bunch of people from Australia tuning in to each stream, and people from across the world and across the country too. So that's something that I was curious about kind of heading into this Dame trade saga was, are people that aren't from Portland still going to be super invested in this team? And
right.
Props to you guys, because it'd be real easy to jump off the burning bandwagon that we have right now.
It also helps that where I live, we don't even have a professional team. The closest thing to me would be like the Royals, the Chiefs, and then for basketball, it would be, if I chose the closest team, would probably be the Oklahoma City Thunder, which I've been to a couple Blazers games when they played the Thunder in Oklahoma City. Once when they won and once when they lost. The year that they won, it was when the Thunder still had Carmelo Anthony. So that was a fun game. And then the game that they lost, that was when I was actually at the game where Russell Westbrook and Dame started talking crap to each other at the free throw line. So that was pretty cool because I was actually somewhat close. I wasn't like courtside or anything, but I was like kind of near the basket, and I had pretty close seats. So thanks to my wife, she was amazing for those 2 gifts. For those were awesome times. So yeah, but obviously we know who got the last laugh that year. I got the photo behind me. Dame shooting over Paul George, waving them goodbye. I'm gonna miss Dame, man.
Dude, I love your setup too, by the way. I'm not showing off the whole thing, but it's just making me dream of when I'm gonna end up moving sometime during the season, and I'm going all out on the setup. So we'll see what mine looks like, but I definitely have to upgrade. I know people have talked about it. People have asked about it. I used to have a big old picture of Portland behind me, but it was like propped up on books. Guys, trust me, someday the setup is going to be sick, okay? It's going to look a little bit more like Crushes, hopefully.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll even go on Pristine Auction and get some side stuff and memorabilia. Maybe I'll become a collector and have that sort of backdrop. But yeah, no, I'm not moving to Portland. I'm staying in Vancouver. Guys, if you're from the Portland area, obviously you know Vancouver. If you're not, Vancouver is like 15 minutes from Portland, but I do enjoy being in Washington where there's no income tax. It's pretty nice. And then if I want to buy anything without sales tax, I can just drive down to Oregon. So I'm going to stick around in Vancouver. As far as this poll goes, we got 33 votes. Vote in the poll because I'm curious to see how you guys' opinions would change regarding Cam Whitmore versus Jaime Hawkins in a Dame trade. But so far, 73% of people said they feel much better. So to me, that just says Cronin should have bit the bullet around draft time. And I feel like he would have been able to make a play like he has more leverage if he just knew that Dame wasn't going to be happy and was going to want out, which I feel like he should have had the foresight to see. He could have just probably went to Miami and said Dame wants, or not even said Dame wants to play there, but tried to work out some sort of package. I think you could have gotten a bunch out of Miami leading up to the draft.
I don't even know if they would have hesitated.
Yeah, if you didn't show your hand, and maybe they already knew that Dame wanted to play there, but I don't know, man. I think that Cronin could have played this a lot better, and I think getting Cam Whitmore would have been really nice. It would have been a little confusing with kind of the minutes breakdown if Thibault was still on the team and you had Scoot, Sharp, Ant still, but you could have found a way to make it work. Maybe they would have let Thibault walk. Just need as many Boomer
Just
Bust
go
guys as
super
possible.
small and play Whitmore at the 4. Or I mean, I guess Grant would still be here. So I don't know how they would have done that.
Yeah. So how'd you feel about Jeremy Grant's re-signing? How'd you feel about his contract?
I mean, it's definitely. I mean, you guys were already hinting at it, but I had a feeling it was gonna be like it's gonna look like kind of a Tobias Harris type contract where it's a solid player and he's definitely getting way more than he deserves. But it's good. I guess you're not letting the asset walk. It's just I wonder what he'll turn into because I can't imagine he plays out that contract here. But I mean, I'm fine with it as long as they get good value. But I mean, it's gonna be hard. So we'll see, man. I don't know. I was happy with it because I thought, oh, Dame's staying for sure now,
Yeah.
and that aged terribly. I thought, oh yeah, Dame's staying. That jerk. Yeah, that was not the case at all.
That got my hopes up, but I don't know. I wasn't. My hopes weren't that high because I had felt for the whole period between the draft and free agency, I felt like Dame was gone. Yeah. On draft night, I remember people saying, "Why aren't you excited about Scoot?" And it was like, "Well, I love Scoot, but Dame is gone." Yeah, it's basically what I was saying all of draft night, and I kind of hope that they do find a team to move him off to in the next year or two. I just think it's better for this team to kind of do the painstaking part of building from scratch, not, okay, we're going to go young, but we're also going to keep around a guy like Jeremy Grant who's going to help us win games, but we're not going to make the playoffs. We're not going to make noise over the next couple of years. So, especially since they valued Chris Murray so high, I would think that at some point they should probably give him a chance to play 25 minutes a game, and probably soon because he's an NBA ready guy. Yeah. And speaking of Chris Murray, Eric had a great point. Let's be real. Cronin is drafting Chris Murray over Cam Whitmore.
Oh my! Imagine a trade. Imagine that happened and we draft Chris Murray at 18.
I would have lost my. I would have lost my mind at trading Dame regardless. Yeah. But even on draft night, I was like, Chris Murray didn't make sense. Go for upside. Go for upside. If you're going to lose Dame, go for Boomer Bust guys. I was saying that on draft night. I didn't like the Chris Murray pick because I thought we were losing Dame, so I couldn't imagine trading Dame for a pick that we used on Chris Murray. That would have been frustrating.
Yeah, that would have sucked. You look back and, yeah, I mean, we would have been, including myself, I actually was streaming on draft night hoping something was going to happen, and I ended my stream early because of how upset I was. Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, I would have been really upset if Dame did get traded on draft night because, like, my mental health was way too involved with it. And then as it's, gone, I've kind of tried to check out a little bit so I'm not too heavily invested with my emotions. But when it does go down, I'm sure the emotions will come back a little bit if it does, which I assume it will. Just a matter of when.
See, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel when it actually happens because I feel like all my emotions are gone at this point.
Yeah, same.
I feel like we're at the acceptance stage of grief.
For sure.
At least I am. Maybe that should be the next chat poll. What stage of grief are you guys in? We can probably do that monthly at this point. But let me know down in chat, what stage of grief are you guys in? I'm at the acceptance stage. Maybe you're not even in stages of grief because I know some of you aren't. But if you grieved regarding this Dame situation,
I'm at the dead inside stage.
Dead inside stage.
As far as Blazers fandom is concerned right now.
See, I feel like even if it was a good offseason, it's kind of dead inside this time of year anyway. So, yeah. But I don't know. Are you going to be like excited going into next year? I kind of just want like somebody else's opinion other than mine's and Eric's, and chat, you guys can feel free to answer this too. Like, what do you think the feeling is assuming this Dame trade gets done? Like, as a fan, is it going to be hard to get excited for next season? Because I think for a lot of people it might be. A lot of people that were huge Dame fans got into the Blazers in part because of Dame. Or is it just going to be like, okay, well, we're moving on. Like, Scoot's going to be fun. Sharp's going to be fun. Ant's going to be fun. Like, how do you feel going into next season is going to feel like?
Yeah, I don't know. Watching that first game, whether I assume Dame will not be here, I think it's going to be very, very weird at first. And then it's just a matter of hoping that Scoot is the real deal and he's like playing great right away. And then maybe you can, I'm not saying maybe you like forget about it quickly, but like it makes it feel just a little bit better. I have no expectation. Like, obviously, the expectations the last couple of years have been to win. And I guess it's kind of like I've always loved being a team with not love necessarily, but when you have like no expectation, when your team has no expectations, it kind of I always like being the underdog, I guess, if that makes sense. So I don't know, but like I feel like there's gonna be no expectations for me. I'm just gonna still watch games, obviously, and just hope that Scoot and Sharp just blossom the way we want to, and then Simons wherever he fits in that as well, obviously. And just hoping that they help us quickly forget about it, I guess, is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. I'm excited for stuff regarding the channel specifically, so I think that will kind of fuel some stuff for me, and I'm hopeful that it will fuel some excitement with other people, just some of the stuff that we're going to be able to do next season, because at this point, it's my connection to the team emotionally is as much through YouTube stuff as anything else. If I didn't have the channel, I don't really know how I'd feel, and that's why I'm always curious and doing chat polls lately, because you know, it's a little different from this side of things where I'm a creator making content about the Blazers, like thinking about what's the best storylines, almost wanting some storylines at times, a little bit of drama just to make content about it, but it's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit different, so I'm always curious as to how people feel. Let's talk about Moses.
Okay.
So the Blazers bring back Moses. They finally sign a center. And let me pull up his stats here. Moses Brown stats. So I had a Twitter joke today that some people got, some people didn't. So Moses, his rookie season, it was 2019-2020. That's I thought it was more recent than that. But the first year we ever did Blazers Uprise, Moses Brown was a rookie. 20-year-old rookie out of the University of UCLA, was undrafted. And back then, he was super skinny. He was like stick figure skinny. I don't know what he weighed in coming into the draft, but he was super, super skinny. So I had a tweet today when we signed him like, well, Cronin finally signed a center, but he has the weight of a guard. And people were like, he's 245 pounds, which since he played for the Blazers, he's definitely put on muscle. That's not the weight of a guard. Unless you're James Harden after a tumultuous offseason, that's not a weight of guard. But yeah, he was pretty stick figure skinny back in the day. Now he's a little bit of a bigger body. So my whole thing last year was this team doesn't have anybody with size to go up against the biggest centers. At least Moses Brown has some size now, I guess. But at this point, he's 23 years old, almost 24. He'll turn 24 in October. And he's just not a skilled big whatsoever. He had some impressive performances the year after we let him go. He actually started 32 games for the Thunder in 2021 and averaged almost 9 points, 9 rebounds, and a block. Shot 55% from 2. Like, it was okay, you know, maybe a backup center in the league, but since then he's bounced around. He's played in Dallas, Cleveland, the Clippers, the Nets, and he hasn't stuck anywhere, hasn't played much. I don't know. I don't feel good about this signing other than the fact that at least he signed a center. Mm-hmm. Because he's not a guy that I ever foresee becoming like a serious contributor on a team. So he's not like that high upside project big. Like, I would have felt better about getting a guy like Keita because I think Keita just has more upside. That was a guy that we talked about in the past. Moses Brown just, I don't know. He's a third string center in my opinion, and probably is never going to be better than that, which I guess is fine if you're the Blazers to have him as maybe even the starting center next year if Yusuf Nurkic ends up getting traded. Who knows? Because we wouldn't have a center left. So who knows who the centers are going to be next year? But at this point, like, if the team's focused on developing the guards, I guess Moses is fine even as a starter. But he's not a guy that's going to like impact winning, which I don't know. It's just weird analyzing these moves from he's not going to impact winning and it's fine. So, what are your thoughts, or do you even have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was telling you this before, but I hardly remember Moses Brown tenure in Portland. To be honest with you, I just remember I think we may have cut him. I can't remember exactly what happened with him, but I know immediately he went to the Oklahoma City Thunder and had like a crazy stretch of like box score games where he looked amazing, and everyone was upset that Portland didn't keep him. And then I thought he was going to be like a future piece for the Thunder. And then he gets traded to Dallas, I think, or something like that. And then I don't know if he's really gotten a role anywhere since then, to be honest. So, I mean, we needed a big. So Moses Brown, still young center. I mean, maybe he comes in and plays better than the last time he played with us. But, I mean, if nothing else, we're still going to be tanking. So it's not going to matter too much. We need to find our future 5 and future 4. I mean, there's just a lot of things we still need to find, and we weren't going to find it this offseason. So signing Moses Brown, I don't think is the biggest deal in the world. So it's fine, I guess.
My first thought to signing him was actually, I don't want to watch his free throws next year. Have you seen the way he was shooting free throws last year? Have you seen any of those
Who was
clips?
he playing for last year?
Oh, goodness, I don't even remember. The Nets for 2 games and the Clippers for 34.
Wow.
So he actually played a little bit for the Clippers. His free throws are brutal. Free throw form is brutal, you know. So that was kind of my first thought. Like, you know, good for him that he's been able to make a little bit of an NBA career after being undrafted. He can block some shots and is an okay rebounder. No, he's a great rebounder, actually. Per 36 for his career, 15 rebounds per game. So at least he can rebound the ball. Honestly, he might be a better backup center than Drew Eubanks. I don't know. I'd probably put them in the same caliber, same tier, I guess. But at least Moses Brown could rebound, because that was obviously a problem last year.
Yeah, because I remember he was like a double-double machine in Oklahoma City for that stretch. So, I mean, as long as he can grab rebounds, that's going to be better than what we've had. I mean, obviously Nurkic has done fine with that, but other players on a roster, rebounding has been a problem. So
yeah,
Moses
and he's
Brown
not
that, at least.
He's one of those bigs that like isn't going to play heavy minutes. It's just so hard to analyze. Like, okay, how much is he going to play next year?
He may play heavy minutes. Who knows? If Nurkic,
he might have to. Yeah, maybe he'll finally get his chance.
He'll
see if
start.
He can hold up.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
I mean, he played 21 minutes a game for the Thunder, so maybe I'm selling him short. There's just like these big men that seem, you know, on a per minute basis, or if you look at per 36, their stats look really impressive, but if they were to play more, their production would really fall off. So he feels like one of those guys. Because last year, you just look at, you know, he played 36 games, averaged only 8 minutes per game. But if you go down on Basketball Reference, you look at his per 36 stats, it's 19 points per game, 17 rebounds, and almost 2 blocks, right? That looks just as good as Nurk. But, you know, Nurk doesn't play in 27, 28 minutes a game. This was him playing only 8 minutes a game, where he had the energy just to play his ass off those 8 minutes, and that was that. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of put up similar numbers on more minutes per game if he ends up in the rotation. It'll be interesting to see if he can rebound at that clip. I mean, in OKC in 2021, when he averaged those 21 minutes a game, he got 15 rebounds per game, so he'll definitely be able to do that. I think the one thing I would like to see, he's 7'2". I would like to see him just finish a little better. He doesn't shoot anything other than shots around the rim. For his career, he's 57%, but was 63.5% last year. So as long as he could just finish around the rim off dump-offs from Scoot, because one of the things I want this year is Scoot just to have that big man that can convert around the rim, so that when Scoot's coming off pick and rolls, making the right read, making the right decision, he has a big that can actually like pay that off. I don't think Scoot is ever going to be the guy where like he has a big that's struggling to finish, so he's not going to make the right play, so he's just going to take it upon himself and maybe make the wrong decision and take bad shots simply because he doesn't trust his big. He seems like the type of guy to always trust his teammates, even if they aren't playing well. But it would be nice to, have a big that can catch lobs, which I think he'll be able to do, and just really reward Scoot for making the right play. I only think that can help. Probably doesn't make much of a difference, but having that big that can play off Scoot, especially in pick and rolls, would be nice.
Absolutely. Like Trevin said, or Trevin, if I'm saying that wrong, sorry. His best round was OKC, and even OKC fans think he's bad. So, yeah, like I said, I just remember him being like a total, absolute double machine in Oklahoma City for that stretch, and that's all I really remember. I didn't even realize he was still in the NBA last year, if I'm completely honest. I had no idea he even played a little bit. I haven't heard his name in so long.
Yeah. It's hard to analyze backup bigs because, especially on defense, like it's the whole Drew Eubanks effect. If you really watch Drew Eubanks, in my opinion, you'd realize a lot of mistakes he's making. Like, I thought he made a ton of mistakes last year, but a lot of them were kind of small things or things that were hard to notice if you were just kind of casually watching a game. So he seemed good because when he had good plays, like, you would notice them. It would be it would be a block into the third row, or it would be a big time dunk or a really good finish around the rim, whereas a lot of his mistakes were nowhere near as noticeable. And that's why it's kind of hard to evaluate backup bigs, and I feel like Moses Brown might be the same way. Just a huge thing is making the right defensive decision as somebody who, in today's NBA, it's a position that gets stuck between helping onto the ball handler or staying on his man, not giving up a lob, like everything in between. It's really hard to analyze that without watching these dudes for multiple games. So Moses Brown is kind of one of those guys where I don't know how he is in those situations. But that was one thing that frustrated me about Eubanks. The thing is, if he's giving up buckets out of those situations, it doesn't really matter this year, but that is something to pay attention to, I guess.
Oh, man, that is definitely going to... Allison said, can't wait for the Moses Nurk tweets. Definitely, we're going to see those 100%, no doubt.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Can
you imagine when Moses plays Nurk, if Nurk gets traded? Dude, are we going to boo Nurk?
I feel like some Blazers fans might. I think he gets a little too much hate, to be honest. I don't know. There's a lot of people that don't like him.
I could see him leaving and then just like being outspoken against the front office and then getting ruthlessly booed when he comes back.
I know he was loved so much at one point, man. It would suck to see. I doubt he gets booed. I doubt it. I hope not. I've always loved Nurkic, even though sometimes his finishing does piss me off sometimes, but I would never just like hate him like that and boo him. I hope that doesn't happen.
I mean, maybe, honestly, Dame might get booed somewhat. I don't know.
Oh, dude. I would be absolutely... No,
I would be pissed.
We better not boo Dame.
I would be pissed. But reading this is where I just need to not go on Reddit and not go on Blazer forums. Because I just see such wildly, like, distasteful stuff. People calling Dame's every name in the book and calling him immature because he unfollowed the Blazers on Twitter. I've read stuff like, I would be fine with holding Dame hostage and letting Father Time do its work on him. Like, I've seen such insane stuff that I don't know how it's gonna happen if Nurkic and Dame do end up getting traded, how those returns are going to go. I am worried that there's going to be some sort of Dame tribute, and it's going to be like a mixed reaction in the stadium, and it's going to be awkward. That's what I'm worried about.
I'm so glad I don't go on Rip City Reddit. That sounds terrible to read. As a Dame fan, I that would upset me reading. Twitter is already enough as it is, so
it's brutal, man. You were going to say something earlier? I cut you off.
Oh, someone said that Eric got benched, but no, he's just on a much-deserved vacation. He'll be back. Don't worry.
Yeah, we sent him on vacation.
Yeah.
He'll be back September 4th. So he'll be back right before the NFL season starts. So, yeah, figured, Crush, you've been watching us for a while. I actually watched Crush before I started Blazers Uprise. So
That's cool.
You know, it's kind of cool to have you on and be able to do something for you. You know, I don't want to sit over here like fanboying over you or anything, right?
No, it's cool to hear, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, so 2K content, Madden content too.
Yeah, I have a Madden channel as well.
I'm not gonna say my opinions on 2K, but
no, I mean, I'm aware that 2K and even Madden are. I mean, Madden, I think so far I'm enjoying Madden 24, but 2K, yeah, they need to step their game up. I only buy it for the simulation. I literally do not play 2K outside of like doing my rebuilds. That's literally all I do. I don't play it outside of that.
I mean, that's me, and honestly, all they'd have to do is just put a little bit more effort into improving that mode. I just stopped buying it because, man, like they kind of let that mode go by the wayside, I felt like. So, are they going to do anything this year? Because I know it drops soon. Are they going to... Are there any improvements coming to that mode?
I haven't really looked into anything they're doing for it. I've seen people upset about the whole season pass thing, and I haven't even really researched into that. I honestly... the one thing they did that was cool last year was the My NBA Eras thing, but I was upset that you couldn't start from whatever year you wanted. It was only like 4 different years you could start from. If they could build on that and make it to where you can start like from whatever year you wanted and everything was accurate, that would be absolutely amazing. And then obviously there's some other things that are a problem. It's just, 2K. I don't know if they're ever gonna really care about, you know, the My League mode or My NBA mode, because obviously they don't make money off of it other than when you buy the game. So it's just the unfortunate part of it, unfortunately.
2K season pass is a joke. Yeah, I just don't think it's smart to charge $70 for a game. Maybe it's $80 now. I don't know. I haven't bought a game for PlayStation because I'm still on the PS4. It sounds like a Boeing airplane. We call it the Boeing PS4. It's loud and it randomly shuts off in the middle of games. It's very triggering. So I haven't even bought a PlayStation yet, but charging $70 for a game and then having a season pass that you buy within that just seems, I don't know, not even kind of. It seems very greedy to me, especially when a lot of their modes are built around microtransactions, and then a year later, none of that matters. You can't roll over any My Team stuff. Like, yeah. So
it's a money grab, man.
Yeah, but you know, your rebuilds are like the only ones I can watch because you do it mostly realistic because I think you can do rebuild videos. So
I try.
You know, because I watch other guys and it's like, man, I mean, what's the point? You're just spamming Trade Finder until you have a super team, and that's literally every video.
Yeah,
so.
that's not fun to me. I probably did that in the very beginning, but as I started, you know, getting bigger and bigger, I've always leaned towards realistic. I think that's just way better, in my opinion.
Yeah. So let me put your. I need to put your link in the description. If you guys want to go subscribe, you guys should go subscribe to Crushables because you started doing, you know, more than just 2K2. You said you live stream the draft. Do you stream a whole lot?
No, not. I only usually stream like during the draft, free agency, trade deadline. So I probably stream like 3 times a year, to be honest.
Dude, I want to tune in for your live streams, but yeah,
you
we're
guys
streaming
are
usually the same time. So yeah,
all good.
Anyway, at Crushables, is that the URL?
Yeah, it should be.
Cool. There we go. Awesome. So link is in the description. I also put in chat if you guys want to go subscribe to Crushables. I watch Crushables draft every year.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to Anton. Shout out to Truly Spencer. PDX $2 dono says, got here late and bam, Crushables. Great surprise. Thank you, Spencer, for the $2 dono. Chat, what do you want us to talk about? Ashton Hagans isn't really anybody noteworthy. So Moses Brown is on a partially guaranteed contract. Ashton Hagans is on an Exhibit 10, which means that he can get waived and they don't owe him anything. He can get basically moved to the G League team. So he can, I would bet, would be on the Rip City Remix next year. He can play some defense. Offensively, he's kind of rough. He played at Kentucky. Didn't get drafted. Was a guy that I thought might be able to break into the league. especially considering the whole Kentucky guard thing where they're just better offensively in the NBA than they were in college for whatever reason. But played 2 games for Minnesota in 2021, has not played in the NBA since. Let me look up his G League stats. So in his past 2 years in the G League, he's played in 57 games, started 16 of them, averaged 24 minutes per game, averaged 9 points per game, almost 6 assists, shot 45% from the field, 34% from 3. That's only on 1.5 3-point attempts per game. He shoots 7 shots per game. So about, I don't know, quick math, like a fourth to a fifth of his shots are threes. Most of his shots are twos. He's mostly kind of a slashing guard. Will get into the paint, will make the right dump off or kick out pass, and can play some defense. If he could shoot, I think he would at least be a two-way caliber player. And it's not like his percentages are bad. He just doesn't take many threes. So if he could shoot on volume and make defenses pay for going under screens, then it would be a lot easier for him to get into the paint and kind of play to his strengths, which are his speed, being able to do slash, being able to collapse the defense, kick out, make the right pass. So that's kind of the one thing that's been holding him back. Maybe he can develop that. Maybe there's still time. He is... How old is he? He is already 24 years old, though. So, I think it would have to happen in the next couple of years, or else it's probably going to be a career that's stuck in the G League, which, it's still, you're playing at one of the highest levels of basketball in the world. You're still getting paid. It's not NBA money, but it's still money for playing the game of basketball. I don't know. This might be his one chance before it becomes a situation where he's kind of stuck in the G League trying to work his way up to the NBA, which I watched the G League documentary finally as well. Have you watched that?
I have not.
It's really interesting. So they cover, Scoot is one of the guys they cover. They go into his dynamic a little bit with Pujeter. Pujeter, I forget how to say his name, but now he's working with our G League team, so he's up here in Portland with Scoot, which I think is pretty cool. But they just cover a bunch of G League guys and their journey. It's kind of insightful. It's really cool to see, especially since we have a G League team now.
I think I know what movie or documentary you're talking about. I just haven't watched it. I definitely need to give it a watch.
Yeah, chat was asking me to watch it. I finally watched it. It was pretty good. They also want me to do the G League tryouts, which I'm not gonna do. If they would let me film,
that would be fun.
Then I would probably do it just because content. But I'm not gonna. Do you guys see this 1-on-1 versus Steven today? Did you guys watch that yet? I can beat Steven Vaughn. I am not. That does not make me G League caliber though.
I haven't been able to watch it yet, but I'm excited to.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. People might already know the outcome. I can't keep a straight face. Yeah.
What up, Rich?
Chat's gonna spoil it anyway. What's up, Rich? Might have Rich on one of these shows coming up over the next couple of weeks.
That would be very fun. But as far as Ashton Hagans is concerned, I don't know anything about him really because I'm not much of a college watcher. I usually just watch when they come into the league. But the one thing I will say is when the news first dropped, everyone thought he was like signed to the active roster, right? With the way Chris Haynes worded it. And then did it not come out till the next day that it was like a 10-day exhibit contract, or am I wrong about that?
I think it was either later that night or the next day, but yeah, he did say a 1-year contract. So I'm like, okay, this dude's actually on the team. And
that's what I thought too. That's exactly what I thought too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, if they're gonna sign a backup guard to the main roster, I kind of just want it to be Skylar Mays. I was gonna be a little frustrated if it was a normal contract, especially since he hasn't proven to be NBA caliber. He's just been an okay G League player. So I'm glad that it's an Exhibit 10 contract. It's basically just a training camp invite, which Antoine Davis and Malachi Smith are also on training camp invites. I think Hagans is better than both those guys. It's funny because both those guys look really bad in the Summer League and were maybe like the 2 worst players on our Summer League team, but they're the 2 guys that we have on G League or on training camp invites. So I don't expect any of these guys to make the team, but if Dame's still on the roster, they're going to have to fill out a 14-man roster. They only have 12 guys right now. 13 if you count Moses Brown, who I think will be on the main roster. So who's that 14th guy going to be? I don't know. And do they bring in a 15th guy as well? Because they can do that. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, because there'd be like 3 players coming back in a Dame trade because you assume if we get the most value, you'd have Jovic, Hawkes, and then salary filler, whatever that is. So that would put us at 15 exactly, right? Because then that would be, and I guess if Nurkic sent out somehow as well. I don't know. It's interesting.
If we keep Nurk and have Moses on the roster and do that trade, then yeah, that would be 15 because without Moses, we were at 12. You subtract 1 for Dame, that's 11. Add 3, that's 14. So if you add Moses into that, then that's 15. I guess you could also send out Nurk. But in that situation, if they're sending out Nurk, they probably have to take back some other filler's salary from...
That's true.
It might not even be Miami. If Nurk's getting traded to and Heroes to a third team, I would assume you probably get maybe like Kyle Lowry from the Heat and then a filler salary from somewhere else, hopefully just expiring contracts. Because next year, I hope they don't end up with Duncan Robinson, basically. I hope they don't end up with Ben Simmons. I want the flexibility next offseason.
Yeah. Kyle Lowry, by the way, Kyle Lowry in a Blazers jersey, if he does play for us, is going to look so bizarre in the future. Like, no one's going to ever remember that.
I know. Like, that guy was... Yeah, hopefully, I don't know. I don't want to keep him if we do trade for him. I kind of just want to buy him out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because me and Eric were talking about it last stream, and I just don't think he's going to want to play a mentor role yet. I feel like he still feels like he can play, and
that's true.
It just doesn't make sense to give him 20 minutes a game because he's a point guard. Like, you got to play Scoot 32, 33 minutes a game at least. I think Ant should get all the other backup guard minutes so that you can move Sharp down to the 2 for maybe half of his playing time, and then you got Thibault playing some 3, who they just gave a bag to. He's making over $10 million a year the next 3 years. So I feel like you don't want to be put in a position where you have a veteran guard that is like supposed to be your mentor, but he's maybe not happy because he's not able to get the minutes. And then it becomes a situation like, okay, do we value his mentorship enough where we just feed him 20 minutes a game and maybe take away minutes from, Thibault, who we just paid? Like, it just becomes a conundrum where, I don't know. I think if you're going after another perimeter player or maybe a backup guard, I'd rather have like a Skylar Mays type. Somebody that, if somebody gets hurt, maybe he's good enough to play his way into some trade value to be a backup point guard somewhere if he plays like how he did last year. But he's not a guy you have to give minutes to.
Yeah, I don't think Kyle Lowry. I mean, obviously his career is coming. He's only got so many years left, so I doubt he'd want to waste his time being a mentor in Portland, for that matter. Maybe if he was in like Toronto, if they were in a rebuild, since he like had a great career there for a little bit. But yeah, I can't see him wanting to be a mentor in Portland for very long if he did get traded here. So a buyout does make a ton of sense.
And Dave Chan brings up Fred VanVleet and Gabe Vincent. I mean, the thing is, Lowry was playing.
Yeah.
So I feel like if a vet is unhappy because he's not playing and he's on a losing team, I feel like they probably aren't going to be that great of a vet mentor, right? Like, if you have a vet mentor, you want a Udonis Haslem, or back in Dame's rookie year, we had Jared Jeffries, and he was at the point where like he wasn't going to see playing time in any rotation, and he kind of knew that, so he accepted that vet mentor on the bench sort of role. I just don't think Lowry's at that point yet. I know he wasn't that good last year, but I still think, if he ended up in Los Angeles playing for the Clippers, he'd probably start.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be options out there.
With Russ there, it might be different now, but...
See, I would probably... I don't know.
I know you're not a big Russ guy,
Kawhi,
but...
With
yeah,
PG
I guess
Kawhi,
Lowry fits better.
I think Lowry makes more sense because he's a little better shooter, and then Russ can run that bench unit. And Lowry has some chemistry with Kawhi. I mean, they only played a year together, but they won a championship together, and both of them were big parts of that team. So I think there is good teams that he would definitely play for, and I think he knows that. So that's kind of where, if he ends up in that Dame trade, I'd want to move on or flip him to a team that wants him, that has some salary. The Clippers could be that team. Maybe take back Marcus Morris and then buy him out and save some money. I don't know. But I would like a vet mentor, just somebody that I know would accept that role.
Or maybe Minnesota still wants Lowry, because I know they were chasing him years ago when he was a free agent.
Well, they already got their old declining.
I know. Conley for Lowry.
I mean, Zeke, I don't know. That's the thing, is Conley, you're in the same situation.
Yeah,
I think Conley might be a little bit more willing to embrace that sort of role, but it's kind of hard, man, because basically you're taking a guy who's used to playing, has been in the league for over a decade, and they've made contributions on winning teams, and then you're saying, you know what, your career's over, basically. You're not playing, you're not playing in the NBA anymore. Now you're a mentor. And for a lot of guys, I feel like it'd be hard to accept that, because it's not on your own terms if you're Lowry, or even Mike Conley if you flip Lowry for him. So it's tough.
Kyle Wilson has a great question, because I have a good answer for this one. He says, what other teams do you see getting involved as a third team? Before the draft, I always thought that the Orlando Magic made a ton of sense for Tyler Hero as a team. This was before the draft, so obviously they drafted Anthony Black. And it may not make sense anymore, but I thought Hero in Orlando made all the sense in the world. That gives them a 2-guard that can shoot, space the floor a little bit, because they need that, and a guy that can score the ball. And he'd be right in the middle of, they're still kind of in a rebuild, but they're ready to take that next step. And I think Tyler Hero would have been the perfect guy for that. And he still could be, technically, because Orlando has a lot of guards though, with Suggs and Anthony. So who knows and then Fultz is there, and they just drafted Black. So I don't know if Hero makes sense for them anymore, but I always loved the idea as a third team Hero to Orlando. I thought it made a ton of sense. But now, obviously, the obvious answer is the Brooklyn Nets. Whether it's Ben Simmons or Dinwiddie somehow involved in the trade. I don't know. Orlando was always a team that I was thinking of for Hero that made a ton of sense.
Yeah. Well, Orlando's just a fascinating team because they have a lot of guys that can play a bit, and they're just kind of at the point where they need a consolidation trade.
Yeah,
because they have, they just drafted Anthony Black. They have Suggs. They have Cole Anthony. They drafted Jet Howard in the lottery, so you would assume he's going to play, especially considering he's the type of guy that they need in terms of a shooter. They need some shooting on that team. And then, of course, you got Wagner and Banchero, and they just signed Joe Ingles. And did I say Gary Harris, too? He's
that's
there
another
still.
guard they have.
Oh, and Markelle Fultz is there. So, yeah, at the point guard position, they got Fultz, they got Suggs, they got Cole Anthony. Right? And maybe you move one of them up to the 2, but you're not going to play Gary Harris probably, and then where does Anthony Black play? I would assume he starts, since they draft him with a 6 pick. They're in a really weird spot, and I think Hero would make some sense for them from a skill set standpoint. I'm just wondering, how do they bring in Hero and kind of clear up that logjam that they already have?
Yep, exactly.
I don't really know what the pieces would be.
I also like Utah as well for Hero. Alex mentions that. That's not a bad spot either for him, because they do have a Baji there though, and they just drafted Keontae George, and so then Colin Sexton. I don't know what his future will be like there. But yeah, Hero next to Markkanen and Walker Kessler could be kind of fun. Yeah,
and I like that fit a little bit more before Keontae George absolutely killed it in Summer League, and so I've always had this theory, you don't shy away from players in the draft combine just because they have a high body fat percentage, because if anything, their body is going to be more easier to improve than somebody who's already in great shape. And if they're playing their way into the league with, a suboptimal body, basically, then you're going to be able to make some gains just by improving their body, cutting down that body fat percentage. And Keontae George was one of those guys who was a little overweight at Baylor, a little overweight in college, and then lost weight between college and Summer League, and then dominates Summer League. So I feel like that could be a fit because I think you can play both of them, but they still have Clarkson too.
Yeah,
I think that's, one of those teams where Utah's just weird because there was whispers of maybe they'd be a suitor for Damian Lillard, but I still think they're just in rebuild mode. I don't know about them for Hero.
Years ago, Utah would have made a ton of sense for Dame because not many superstars go out and say, hey, I would love to play for Utah. So I think if this would have happened years ago, I think Utah, it kind of depends where they're at as a franchise, of course. But if you go back to years ago, Dame, they asked Dame about, I'm sure you remember this tweet, they asked where he'd want to play if the Blazers didn't want him. And one of the teams was Utah. And it's obviously because he went to college there. And you don't really hear that very much about, Utah as a franchise. So I get maybe why bringing in Dame could be fun for them because he actually, years ago said he wanted to be there, but obviously I don't think he feels that way anymore. Obviously he's trying to go win a championship. And as far as Memphis is concerned, I don't love Tyler Hero to Memphis because they already got, Smart, Bane, Moran. I don't know where Hero fits on that team.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what they'd be. I don't even know what they would send us for Hero. I mean, I guess you could probably get there, but I don't
Hero
think it makes sense
would have
for
made
Memphis.
sense for them before they traded for Kennard, which maybe Kennard shouldn't even be a factor. Is he good enough? Like, he's obviously not as good as Tyler Hero, but is he good enough where they just wouldn't even look at a Tyler Hero? That's kind of my question. I forget what they gave up for Kennard last year. I thought it was something decent, but Marcus Smart there as well. The one thing is Memphis needed shooting and offensive punch. Instead, they bring in Marcus Smart, which provides defense and can get hot. So Hero would provide a skill set that they need for sure. I do like Orlando the most out of all those teams. I just wonder what that package would look like. And as a Gonzaga fan, I would love to have Jalen Suggs on this team.
Yeah, Jones sucks.
But does he make sense on this team?
No, probably not.
Like, defensively, he'd be a great complement as, like, a lockdown defensive guard. It's just, he's better with the ball in his hands, kind of like Scoot. Struggles with the three ball. I think Scoot is a little better three-point shooter, but Scoot also struggled with the three ball last year. Like, how duplicative are they in terms of, people always use that with Dame and CJ, but I always thought Dame and CJ and Dame and Ant, but all of those guys could play off the ball at least a little bit and could space the floor, knock down threes so they could play off each other. Whereas if you have, Suggs off the bench as your third guard behind Scoot and Ant and Sharp at the three, like, Scoot and Suggs, can they play off each other? Like, I think if either of them has the ball, the other one's just kind of stuck unless you're just running all the time in transition, which could be the plan. Having two guards that can push like that and pass in transition with Sharp, with Ant, with athletes. I mean, maybe you just play the fastest pace in the league. I just, long-term, don't really know if that's the fit. But that also is, like, the number one guy that maybe you could try and get back for Hero if you sent Hero there. And he still has some upside where it could look like a great trade down the line. Like, kind of that boomer bust guy still. Because I think if he ever learns how to shoot, I think he could be a really, really good starting point guard.
Yeah, it's not sure if he makes a ton of sense in Portland, but I mean, yeah, obviously there could be a role for him. I don't think the Nets are going to give one of their rookies away for Hero. Sounds like at the beginning, weeks ago, it was said that the Nets wanted compensation for taking on Hero. So, yeah, I don't know if the Nets would give one of their rookies away.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, the Knicks are stockpiling picks for somebody bigger than Hero. And
Joel Embiid.
That's the name right now. Which I think if Embiid ever becomes available, I think that's where he gets traded. I think the Knicks just trade every pick possible, which is like 8 or 9 first-round picks. And maybe Philadelphia values RJ Barrett, although on that contract, that's rough. I do think that would be the destination because if you get Embiid there, I think that's a contender. The fit with him and Randall is kind of weird, but
yeah, for sure it is.
I mean, with Brunson and him would be deadly together. My goodness, and then you finally got some good role players that can play both sides of the ball. Grimes, I love. Hart, obviously, I love, and then Hartenstein, guys that I've liked for a while. So they signed DiVincenzo. So I just think it's I think that's what New York is waiting for. They're waiting for a bigger fish than him because that's the type of team where I feel like 2 years ago they trade for Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
Now I just think they wait.
Yeah, especially with what's going on in Philadelphia right now. Who knows where that's headed? So another team that someone brought up or I saw an article about was Houston, which would be very interesting. I mean, they have the assets for it, but I don't know if they should be going for it. I mean, I didn't even like them signing. I'm a big Fred VanVleet guy because he went to Wichita State, and I live in Kansas, so that was cool. But, yeah, he got a bag, so shout out to him for that. But, yeah, Joel Embiid and Houston would be interesting too, but I don't know if I like that. I mean, if Philly was able to – I mean, if, like, Houston kept Fred VanVleet on the roster and they went, like – or, sorry, if Houston kept Fred VanVleet on the roster and then they brought in Joel Embiid – like this was just an idea I saw in an article because apparently Ime Udoka and Joel Embiid are very close, which I actually was not aware of. But yeah, that would be interesting. So, but I think it's the Knicks for sure.
Yeah. Wizards are in rebuild mode. I'm kind of running down the list here on Fanspo. Pacers just signed Bruce Brown. There just really aren't a lot of suitors for Hero. And the thing is, they have to have pieces that make sense for Portland to really maximize value. If it's just, a pick, I'm sure there's a few different teams that would give up a first-round pick for Tyler Hero. Is that pick going to be super valuable and protected? Probably not, no. So, if we're looking at destinations for Tyler Hero, it's more so like what teams will come over the top and give a better package than just a somewhat protected first-round pick.
Absolutely.
It's hard to find that team. Like maybe it's Toronto, maybe they give up Precious for him. I don't think they would though. And especially with Masai, I don't know if he'd give up Precious for Damian Lillard at this point.
Yeah, Jerry's a psychopath. So
Chat, go ahead.
Pacers is interesting, but I mean they have Mathurin. I mean I think you'd rather play Matt. I know they played Mathurin at the 3 last year, I believe. I might be wrong on that, but I guess you could have Hero at the 2, Mathurin at the 3. But I'd rather have a Halliburton Mathurin backcourt than Hero out of that equation.
I mean, they still have Buddy Hield, and they paid Bruce Brown.
Oh yeah, and Buddy Hield's still there, and Bruce Brown. Yeah, I forgot they
and
paid him.
And my guy Andrew Nembhard was solid last year, and will play some with Hallie. Yeah, so they got a logjam. That's the problem with Indiana. They got a logjam of guys. If anything, they need to trade out a 2 guard. I think they need to trade out Hield.
Yeah, for sure. And then Miles Turner has been in trade rumors forever, obviously. So.
Yep. Eric went vegan and got younger. Says that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Eric trimmed his beard and looks younger and stuff like that.
Oh, man. Yeah, I finally look tall. I finally look over 6 feet tall on a stream.
Yeah.
Because Eric always has, like, the camera pointed up at him, and he's just huge, so he looks massive compared to me. Nice. Well, now nobody can doubt it because I have the 1v1 video.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. Dude, the gym we played in was probably at least 100 degrees.
Damn.
There was a stretch of weather last week where it was 100 and there was no AC in that gym, and it was like no windows, like kind of closed off space. So, oh my goodness. There's a reason why we looked somewhat decently like energetic on the first couple of plays and then looked kind of dead the whole rest of the game. So, I'm not in the greatest shape, and Steven is... Okay, I'm not going to diss my guy Steven, but he would say he probably needs to do some cardio. So, that was kind of his excuse for it all. But Steven can play, man. Steven can shoot. He played junior college ball. Like, he's not a scrub, He just needs to get back on the court. So, hopefully we get a run sometime soon. I wish... You play basketball at all?
I did when I was younger, but unfortunately I stopped. So I started when I was in 3rd grade, and then I tried out for the team in 7th grade, and I like to think that I was pretty good back then, but unfortunately I didn't make the team, and then that's kind of when I stopped playing. But I feel like I fell victim to the politics of school, if you know what I'm saying, because you had like kids you had kids that made the team because their parents worked for the school or they were the principal, And I felt like I was much better than half the people that made it. So, or maybe not half, but a few of them. And that's kind of when I stopped playing. And now, when I play basketball, I'm not very good at all. I would say, don't expect me to shoot anything, and I'll hustle, grab rebounds, and pass. That's what you get from me when I play ball.
So you're Josh Hart.
Yeah, I have fun. I still have fun. I definitely try, but yeah, shooting is not in my expertise anymore at all. I don't know. I just like stopped playing, and now I just forgot how to shoot, I guess.
Yeah. And our runs are really just an excuse to get out and meet people. It's always fun to meet members of the community. So, don't think we've forgotten about actually having a more organized indoor pickup run, because I know we've talked about that in the past chat. Maybe we can get at the same gym that I played Steven at, although I think we'd maybe have to pay if we're having multiple people in that. So maybe I'd have to charge, $5 a person that shows up or something. It's down in Oregon City too, so it's a little out of the way. Maybe we'll do something before the year's out. We'll see. Anyway, any other Blazer topics you want to touch upon?
No, I'm not that I can think of, but Mad Mobile, as he points out, yes, I just play the team GM virtually. That's my expertise, I guess.
Yeah, you could be a part of the front office for sure.
I'll start making trades before the game
we
starts.
just hire you okay, each day plug something into the trade finder and bring back all the trade offers, okay? And then you're going to call the third assistant GM of each team and see what they think.
Yeah.
That's going to be your job.
That sounds just fine to me.
But yeah, we'll take questions from chat and then, for 10, 15 minutes, then wrap things up. If any of you want Crushables to give you life advice, this is your moment.
I'm so down to give some life advice. I've seen some things in my 24 years of living.
24 years old, man.
Yeah.
Making me feel old. Damn. I like being the young guy on streams, So, Dro wants to know, where did you get your jacket?
It was years ago, and this is like literally 2017 since I've had this hoodie. And my wife bought it for me. Well, she was my girlfriend at the time, but yeah, she bought it for me. She had it delivered to my house and everything. It's pretty cool. I've had it since.
Nice. Yeah, it's the red really pops. I like it.
Yeah, it's a cool hoodie. I really like it.
I lost my favorite Blazers hoodie. It was, chat, you probably don't remember it. I had like a dark gray hoodie, had a red Blazers logo on it. It was in all red, and then like text in a circle in all red, and that was one of the items of clothes that my uncle accidentally gave away to Goodwill. Did you ever hear that story?
No, I didn't.
So I had to borrow a car, and I have to do laundry at my mom's house, which is 20 minutes away. So I put a hamper of clothes in the car that I was borrowing, but never actually went up to my mom's because it's so out of the way. So I left it in there, and then I had a relative that right after I was done borrowing it needed to borrow it, and I forgot that the clothes were in there. So he started driving it once I got my car back. And apparently, and this was another relative's car. Apparently he was told to take everything in the car to Goodwill because what was in it before I started driving it was supposed to go to Goodwill. So he goes to Goodwill, my clothes are still in there, and then he legitimately gives my clothes to Goodwill, gives my clothes away. So this was early July, so I lost so much.
Damn, man.
So much clothes, so many clothes. Yeah, I lost a ton of clothes. That sucked. So I've kind of been slowly rebuilding my wardrobe, I guess. And that was my favorite hoodie. It's gone now. Hopefully somebody's enjoying it somewhere. Who knows where?
Yeah, I've actually lost a piece of Blazers gear as well in a very interesting story. So I was at a this was years ago. I was at a party and I had a Blazers hat on. And I don't know if I should. I don't even know if I should tell this story, to be honest.
Party story? I would love a party story. We don't get that many party stories with Eric partied a little bit back in his day, but we don't get many party stories. So I want to hear every detail.
Okay, there's a very tragic part to this. So basically, and it's not funny. I'm just laughing because like it was a hat I really loved. So I was at a party and it was like this small condensed building, and so unfortunately, it was a party I probably shouldn't have been at, and it ended up getting shot up. So my hat fell off my head, and I wanted to look for it, but at the same time, I was like, oh, I can't look for it, so I lost it, and at that party, which made me sad. But yeah, it was pretty unfortunate. So that's how I lost a Blazers hat.
Yeah, that's okay. That's really crummy.
It was very terrible, very bad. I never.
Yeah, no wonder you said it's not funny.
Yeah, I stopped going to things like that after that happened. That was pretty traumatic.
See, I never back in my day had anything quite that bad. There was a party. We used to have parties at Granges. Do you know what Granges are?
No, I don't.
Like, it's just a giant building with, like, the main room is just a giant room with no walls. And my senior year of high school, there was a competition, and it was like a senior girl got paired with a senior guy, and they were supposed to raise the most money for Dornbecker, which is the children's hospital in Portland. And they were supposed to set up fundraisers and clear it with like parents that kind of organized the whole thing, teachers and parents, whatever. And then whoever raised the most money would win the pageant basically at the end of the year. What would happen every year is there'd be a couple of teams that would set up a fake fundraiser to get it approved, right? But then the fundraiser would actually be they'd rent out a Grange and just this giant room, hire a DJ, set up a bunch of chairs, and that's it. And then, like, would charge people $5 to go. No parental supervision, nothing. Just a bunch of high schoolers, like 400, 500 high schoolers, at basically a club. Just a makeshift club. So there was a couple of gun scares at those. That's the biggest kind of scares that I've had. But, yeah, that was always kind of funny back in high school, was these fundraisers that were under the table, like nobody knew nobody running it knew about it.
Damn.
So, and I think every year the team that won was one of the teams that organized that thing, because 400 people, $5 entry, that's a lot of money
for sure. The reason why I also make 2017 seem so long ago, because that's when I graduated high school, and now I have 2 kids, so it does feel like it was forever ago. So sorry.
Hey, that is a while ago if you're having kids and getting married. I'm sitting here like, man, I graduated even longer, and I don't know. I'm not close to kids yet, so you're younger than me, but you probably relate to Eric more.
Yeah,
So
there's like I said, I've seen some things and I've been through some stuff. As far as where I'm from Kansas, and I still live here.
Nice. So are you you're not a Chiefs fan?
Oh no, definitely not. Chiefs fans actually annoy me here, to be honest.
I bet. I mean, any fan base that wins a couple of championships gets annoying. It's the same way with me and dealing with, as a Mariners fan, Astros fans are the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Any fan base that wins it, I assume, I feel like Blazer fans would probably be the same way if we won a couple of championships, man. Could you imagine having that sort of confidence in our franchise? Sure. Like we won rings, multiple.
I answered the Michael and Dro asked, what made you Blazers fan? Tori actually asked me earlier, so I don't know if I want to say it again, because it was kind of not a long story necessarily, but I did say it earlier in the stream.
See, like, I stream enough where I've learned how to, like, answer certain questions that I get asked all the time in as few words as possible. Just kind of like practice each time I get asked, and then I'm able to say it super quick.
The answer is Damian Lillard. That's why.
Damian Lillard.
There's more to it, but yeah, that's a huge part of it.
Dad was Blazer fan. Damian Lillard's game winner against Houston, and yeah. Shout out Murray. To $2 dono says, my ex burnt my favorite Blazers hoodie.
Wow, that's sad.
See, that's one of the Australians that we still have here being a Blazer fan despite what this team has done, so shout out to Murray down there in Australia. Also, Murray, I didn't know you have an ex. I actually talk to Murray in voice chat when he decides to say what's up, but I actually talk to Murray in Discord all the time. I don't know. I have not heard about any of your ex stories, Murray. I feel like you'd be the kind of guy to have a couple of crazy exes, so I'm kind of curious now. Burnt your hoodie.
Yeah, that's
why. What'd you do? What'd you do to deserve that? What'd you do to piss her off that bad that she burnt your hoodie, or did you just break her heart? I need an explanation. He just says L Riz,
yeah, L Riz.
I need a little bit more of an explanation than that.
How to ask someone out romantically while Murray answers. You could either be really rude because some girls like that, or you could just be the nicest guy possible. You just gotta figure out what kind of girl you're talking to. I'm not the kind of guy that has ever found a girl through person to person. I've always met girls like through an app or something, or through someone else.
Yeah, so the girl I did for 3.5 years was somebody I actually knew of in middle school and high school. Never talked to her, and I never would have talked to her until I matched with her through Tinder. And earlier in the day, I got ghosted by this girl that I was talking to. And I just told her, like, damn, I got ghosted today. She's like, that sucks. I'm like, yeah, you want to hang out? Sure.
Nice.
And then we dated for 3.5 years. So yeah, that's kind of how that went. Not romantic at all. I literally admitted that I took an L, and then I took a dub for a while, and it turned into an L. But
Murray says, I spilled Jack Daniels on another girl's shirt and helped her get a new one. Apparently, I was cheating. Some girls are crazy, man.
What? Wait. Oh, man. You have now officially made your Blazers Uprise live debut, because this is really what it's about. So, you cheated on her because you got the other girl a new shirt, or you cheated on her because you were drinking with another? Or is just the cheating like you actually were cheating on her, and it's just the story is something completely irrelevant? Anyway, Murray, you seem like the type of guy who needs a lot of life advice already. So, anybody else that needs life advice, we got Crush here.
I got
certified
you
therapist. No, he's not. Just kidding. I don't know if I'm legally allowed to make that up.
I got you with the life advice if you want it from me.
Sorry, that's still a dub. I mean, I'll take it. Yeah. Go ahead.
She was mentally insane, but she was bad, though. It evens out.
Murray is funny as hell. Murray is insane, though.
He's funny.
Eric Olsen said he'd be annoying as hell if we win a ring. I'd be positive Tory. You guys wouldn't know me anymore. It'd be kind of weird. But it'd be so hype. Oh, my goodness. I just want to win a freaking series, man. It's like just one series in the life of this channel seems like such a low bar, but man, I was around during the time where we had the 14-year drought of not winning the series. I just hope it's not that again.
We only won 3 with Dame, right? The 1 year versus the Clippers when Chris Paul and Blake Griffin got hurt, and then obviously the Western Conference Finals run. And I think that was it, right? Or did we make it to round 2 again with Dame? Or was that it?
The Western Conference Finals was the last time we made it past the first round.
Right, and then before that...
And that was the year before. I started the channel that off season after.
Yeah, for sure. But I was saying we beat Houston too? Yeah, I was saying, how many series has Dame won in his career in
Oh,
Portland? 'Cause
Houston, the Clippers.
who did Houston have when we beat them? Or duh, sorry, that was before I started watching like that. That makes sense. That's one I'm
Dame's
forgetting.
buzzer beater.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
series. They
That
had
yeah,
Harden. They had Dwight Howard. They had Chandler
yeah.
Parsons. They had Patrick Beverly.
Mm-hmm.
They had Terrence Jones started for them. I don't know if you remember him.
Oh yeah, I do.
He was from Portland. Omer Ashik, because Omer Ashik guarded Aldridge for a bit of that series, and Aldridge cooked them.
Yep.
Yeah, that was that team. But I think it was just Houston, the Clippers, and then that Western Conference Finals run.
Yep. I
Although,
think that's it.
am I forgetting something in between that, chat? So it was just 4 series?
Yeah, because I think we ran into the Warriors almost every year. I feel like.
Yeah, because the Clippers was the Grizz. So we lost to the Grizzlies in 2015. Then Aldridge left.
Yeah.
Right, because we beat the Rockets in 2014. So in 2015, we lost to the Grizzlies. 2016, we beat the Clippers. 2017, we were the 8 seed, lost to the Warriors. 2018, we were the 3 seed, got swept by the Pelicans. And then 2019, we made that Western Conference Finals run.
That was the most down bad I've ever been as a Blazers fan when we got absolutely just killed by the Pelicans. That was so much pain.
God, dude, that whole year. Right, and this is back before I had a platform. That whole year, I was just like, Stotts' offense is not good. Dame carries it. Like, he still doesn't have an answer for the trap. And then I just watched it play out in front of me, and it was like, dude, okay, do we realize now, like, his offense isn't good in the playoffs? Unless Dame goes insane.
I thought Alvin Gentry was just a mastermind, but I guess then I realized Terry Stotts was just that bad.
Dude, we just ran pick and roll like at half court constantly, despite them trapping it and us turning it over every time. We did not adjust.
Yeah, that was the most down bad I've ever been as a Blazers fan, because we were the 3rd seed. The West was very close that year, so it was just getting swept was so embarrassing, especially with the way Drew Holiday played, and like he literally killed us on the offensive end and just like locked up Dame and CJ. Like he just like they were all over us, man. It was terrible.
It was
feel like the games weren't even close either. That's how bad it was.
No, because those turnovers are easy buckets on the other end. Not only are you not scoring, but you're giving them easy shots. It's hard to keep it close, turning it over like that. But, dude, it was just like, okay, fine. If you want to run pick and roll, I was just sitting there like, just run it on the side. Have 3 players on the other side of the court so that you can actually hit the roll man closer to the rim. Because that was the problem is, like, we'd run pick and roll at half court, and then Nurkic would be catching the ball beyond the 3-point line, and there'd be somebody rotating up to him. So it was just a mess. It's just like, why do you keep doing this? At times the ball would get tipped. At times, like, Nurkic wouldn't go in between the defenders and the traps, so there'd be no window to get him the ball. Like, it was just a complete, absolute mess. And didn't adjust all series long. God, that was the worst experience as a Blazer fan.
They did have Rondo too. He killed us also. He was absolutely dotting us up.
God. Yeah, I forgot that he was worth that team.
Dude, he was. I think he had like 20 assists in one of those games, if I'm not mistaken. I might be exaggerating, but he was killing us. I remember that part. Playoff Rondo was in full effect in that series. What was worse, the Pelicans sweep, getting knocked out by Denver despite Dame going God mode, or watching West go down with an Achilles tear?
Be a chat poll.
The worst for me was the Pelicans one, but I will say, I feel like the Wesley Matthews one for me, I wasn't like locked in as a Blazers fan enough to feel that pain because I wasn't there long enough. But the Denver one was also very painful because what a performance, just absolutely wasted. Right, I'll never get the Robert Covington dunks out of my head and CJ stepping out. Those were just so bad, man. Those sucked so bad. You saw West go down live in person? Man, that sucks. Yeah, I'll never forget that performance being wasted by Dame. That was another down bad moment.
Dude, I should have this off season just gone back with chat just on these shows and just watched back old streams. Chat, would you guys like that? Would that be an entertaining stream? Maybe sometime in September when we have nothing to talk about, like just for stream, just going back and looking at old like key stream moments. Cause now it's a bit removed we're a bit removed from it. I feel like it would be interesting to go back and watch that stream. Although I might have cussed on that stream because that would be the type of stream that I would cuss on.
Oh, for sure. It was so
like,
bad, man.
That's the special exception because, oh my goodness, like that could have been such a legendary game. If we won that game and like won that series, even if we lost in the next round, that game would be spoken about to such a high extent, just as such a legendary performance. And it just doesn't even matter. Jimmy says Eric crying. Is that worse than everything? Just seeing Eric cry?
Yeah, that sucked to see, man.
Yeah.
It just shows how passionate Eric is as a fan. I'll never understand people that obviously it's the internet, so it's hard to understand people, but
yeah, I mean, I knew that was gonna happen.
Yeah, it's inevitable. People are rude, and it's the internet. They can type whatever they want. So
people will find a way to, complain about us anyways. But
yeah, true.
With that, it's like, people question our fanhood sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like, okay, well, there's your answer. You see how upset
are you even a fan of the team?
But then it's not even that. It's, well, are you a Dame fan then? Like,
yeah.
It's just ridiculous, man. I mean, I don't know how you could cover this team the past 4 years and not be a fan of them. Like, okay, if I was making, $200,000 a year covering the Blazers sucking and being miserable, and I wasn't a fan, then actually that'd be pretty sweet, because I wouldn't care that they were miserable. I'm making $200,000 a year, but it's actually, the opposite. This team freaking struggles, and obviously if I'm negative all the time, like, I'm not happy about it. So, but still, even last year I was optimistic for half the season, man. I truly thought the defense at the start of the season was legitimate. And I still don't know what it was at the start of the season. It was like, I don't know if it was guys overachieving. I don't know if it was because we were fresher. I don't know if it was because of, we were running zone and teams hadn't figured it out. It's probably a combination of all those things. It's just how does it go from it looked like an above average defense. Mm-hmm. And then very quickly we lose Justice Winslow and lose Dame, and somehow now it's the worst defense in the league. I don't ever understand really why it dropped off so much.
Winslow was the key.
But then he comes back and he's getting burnt constantly too. So I don't know.
For those
Winslow is not that much of a difference maker,
I remember this Kings game specifically, how good Winslow was in that one very early on.
He's like the type of guy that if he has a very specific matchup, then he can be really good defensively. But if he doesn't have that specific matchup, he can struggle. Like, he's not the type of guy that's going to guard guards. But, Sabonis, who just tries to bully everyone and isn't much of a shooter, and Winslow's stronger than him, like, he can handle that matchup. Mm-hmm. And Sabonis plays a little bit on the perimeter and is skilled, so, like, having a guy that can move his feet a little bit, but then has the physicality to match him inside a bit, that was, like, the perfect type of guy to start the season for Winslow. And I was really impressed with how he battled him. It was just, I don't know, we need versatile defenders next year. In my opinion. That's the thing we lacked. We didn't have enough versatility.
What is the perception of the Blazers in Kansas? Well, I've told Tori this before. Yeah, it's probably not very relevant. I've told Tori this before, but I don't really, all my friends, none of them really watch basketball like that. Like, nobody, like, literally, I have some friends that are like casually know a little bit about it, but nobody watches basketball like that, like as much as I do. So I don't really have any friends to talk to about basketball. So, which is why this is such an amazing experience for me to come on here and talk with somebody that actually watches basketball the way I do as well. So that's why I'm very happy to be here right now.
Yeah, that's why this community is cool too, because we get a lot of questions that are obviously like, if people watch us, they also pay a lot of attention to basketball. But that's really been my thing, is like challenging people to, even if they disagree with us, like, actually have a good reason, have a legitimate reason, like make it a conversation. Don't make it like, Dame isn't a team player and all his passing is out of attrition or whatever the hell. Like, just stuff that makes no sense. And I mean, we got a question here that's legitimate basketball questions. We get this all the time. What position do you think Chris Murray will be long term? Small forward or power forward? Thank you, Medina. I think he's more of a power forward because I think speed wise he's a little bit lacking at the small forward position. But yeah, we get tons of great questions, and it's a lot of fun to be able to have that community that truly watches the game and knows basketball. It makes it easy and it makes it fun to kind of just go live, especially this time of the offseason. Just go live and talk. Go live and find things to talk about, even if there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, and people in Kansas do like basketball, but I think it's probably more college because obviously you have K-State, Wichita State, KU. So those are like, I feel like most people in Kansas watch, college basketball more than NBA, I would imagine. Because the year that WSU made it to the Final Four with Fred VanVleet.
Wichita State?
Yeah.
Because up here, people know WSU as Washington State.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Wichita State.
Yeah.
The year they made it to the Final Four with Fred VanVleet and Ron Baker. Yeah, that was an exciting time for around here. That was in middle school when that happened.
Those teams were fun, man.
Yeah.
Although they beat Gonzaga that year, that wasn't fun. That wasn't fun. Yeah, we were the 1 seed, first 1 seed ever, and we don't even make it to the Sweet 16. Oh God, I was so mad. I didn't even watch that game because I was young and out in the neighborhood somewhere, just screwing around. And I was like, oh, we're not gonna lose to whatever Wichita State is. Yeah. And then, oh God, that game was miserable. So, yeah. But Wichita State teams were fun, man. I just remember, then they had the target on their backs, and then weren't they a 1 seed then the year after? Did they lose?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Weren't they the 1 seed? They lost to Kentucky, who was the 8 seed. They paired them up with Kentucky, and it was just weird because Kentucky was the 8 seed and Wichita State was the 1 seed.
Yeah, I briefly remember something like that, but I can't remember for sure. It was so long ago. I remember Villanova dotting up Kansas. I don't know if it was the Final Four or the championship, but I remember the Dante DiVincenzo and Mikal Bridges team absolutely just killing KU. I can't remember if it was the Final Four or the championship. And as far as Kendrick Lamar is concerned, I do like a couple Kendrick songs. So yeah, I would say yay.
Should the Blazers trade Nurkic is a question for you from Alberto Fernandez.
Okay, so as far as trading Nurkic is concerned, I think it makes sense to trade him. But if you ask a lot of people around the league, or I guess if you look at Twitter for this question, and I'm sure it's probably looked this way around the league as well, is that Nurkic is one of the worst contracts in the league, which you could agree or disagree with. So I think moving Nurkic is going to be a lot harder. Exactly what Eric just said, no market. So I don't think moving Nurkic is going to be possible, to be honest. Unless if he's involved with the Dame trade, which obviously has been talked about. But as far as just trading Nurk and expecting an asset, I don't think that's even on the table.
I think they just have to convince the Heat to take him.
Yeah, that's the only way I could see that happening.
Then we had a dono from a while ago. Forgot to read it off. Thank you, Isaac Figueroa, with the $2 dono. Sorry it took so long. I spaced out on it. It says, best Blazers channel. Is Dame starting for us? Appreciate it, bro. I still think Dame gets traded sometime in September. Stephen Vaughn thinks that Dame is going to be in Portland at the start of the season, and he thinks he's going to get traded at the deadline. Eric thinks it's going to happen in September. What is your prediction for the Dame saga? What do you think? What does your gut say will happen with this?
Man, I could see it going either way. I don't want to play the middle though, so I'm going to choose what I think. So I feel like they've held off for this long. I would not be surprised because I think the main thing is, obviously Dame sells tickets and that would make them very happy, or Jody happy at least. So I could see it being till the deadline too. I don't know if I'll be right, but I'll go with what Steven said. I'll say trade deadline, and I think it's going to be very bizarre if that is the case. So I don't know what to expect if it does happen that way.
I know. God, that'd be fascinating to watch and weird. Does he follow the Blazers back on Instagram? That is what everybody wants to know. If he's playing for the Blazers, will he follow their Instagram account?
Find out next on Blazers Uprise.
Oh man, we should just start a podcast covering social media.
Yeah.
We can just scroll Twitter for an hour.
See who follows who and what's going on.
Because our group chat is on top of it. Allison's on top of it. She's TMZ girl. She's our TMZ reporter because she's always able to find out who unfollowed who and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, and Blazer fans are the type of fan base to pay attention to that. And then we can talk about how we followed, what's the pig's name?
Peppa Pig or something like that.
Peppa Pig? Yeah, you're a father, so you got kids. I don't know if they watch Peppa Pig or whatever that is, but yeah.
No. I mean, people don't even have to look it up. There's literally pages that post about it. So, like, it's literally right there as information. It shows up on my For You on X app, whatever it's called now, as, oh, this guy followed whatever, unfollowed whatever, so.
Murray says he was thinking about starting a sports podcast for the NBA, NRL, etc. Start whatever your favorite rugby team is, Murray. Start a channel for that. Maybe I'll get into rugby and be a fan of whatever rugby team you like. Because, I don't know, rugby I feel like would be really entertaining if I understood it better.
Yeah, for sure. I don't understand rugby very much either.
That's like, the thing is with any sport, just understanding the nuance makes it more entertaining. Like, that's the thing with baseball. Like, I understand why baseball is boring to people, but understanding the kind of back and forth game on each pitch between a pitcher and a batter does make it more entertaining. Because otherwise it's just like, oh, he threw the ball, everybody stood around 4 times in a row. Like, luckily the pitch clock has made it faster and more entertaining. But same thing with like NASCAR. I'm a big NASCAR guy, so I'm kind of jealous because you have one of the best tracks, in my opinion, in your backyard, Kansas.
My dad is a huge, and I mean huge, NASCAR guy.
Is he?
Yes, he travels everywhere to watch all kinds of races. So
does he have like a favorite Cup driver?
I don't know who his favorite is. And then my grandpa actually used to have like a dedicated NASCAR room. That's like, so I'm assuming he, obviously carried it over from his dad. But I know my grandpa was always a Dale Earnhardt guy, Junior, and then obviously the original, Dale Earnhardt. So yeah, he had a huge NASCAR room. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So like my dad watched it. That's how I got into it. My dad watched that and loved country music. I kept the NASCAR thing. I hate country music.
Yeah, my dad tried to get me into racing, and I just couldn't really.
It's just one of those things where, like, without understanding the nuance, I see why it's extremely boring,
Yeah.
It's just cars driving in a circle, and that's the thing with any sport.
Yeah, you can dumb down any sport, really.
Exactly. So, that's why I don't hate on any sport, because I understand, like, there's probably some nuance in it that somebody enjoys for a good reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like golf, I understand why somebody likes golf. I don't like golf. I don't really, know the ins and outs of golf. And it is very slow paced, but somebody who has a true appreciation for the game of golf, of course they're going to like golf. So,
yeah.
I've never really been against anything. I know that, like, me being a NASCAR fan, that's probably like the rarest thing for somebody in our community to like be a fan of. I know there's a couple people in our community that watches NASCAR. Like Jimmy says Daytona this week. I'm excited for that. But it's nice. It's nice being into other sports as a Blazer fan. Like,
for sure,
having other teams to pour my emotion into. And the Mariners are really good right now, so that's what I'm focused on. Like, the Mariners are freaking killing it. They're 2 games out of a division title. They haven't had one since 2001. So I'm just like all in and excited. And right now I have, the Niners are good. The Mariners are good. Gonzaga's always pretty good. Like, the Blazers are my only bad team right now, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I only watch
my good team for a while.
Yeah, I know. Same. I only watch 2 sports heavily, and that's NBA and NFL. I'm a Commanders fan. I'm pretty excited about this year. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, do you watch any Commanders YouTube channels?
Yeah, I do. There's some good ones out there.
Yeah. I got a guy who has a guy I'm cool with, working with, that has a Commanders channel.
Oh, really? Who is it?
Yeah, Pedro.
Pedro.
You know Pedro?
I might. It's not coming to me right now, though.
Yeah, Pedro. Pedro Schmidt.
Yeah, that sounds so familiar. If I saw his face, I think I would know.
Yeah. So, I've gotten to meet a lot of NFL creators recently as part of stuff that I'm doing, and that's pretty cool. It's going to give me a different perspective on the NFL this year. And then that division with your Commanders, man, is always so interesting.
Yeah.
That division is always so interesting.
It is.
And it's not just because it's like the Cowboys are America's team. It's just either like really good or really bad.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles are just always kind of interesting because they were great last year, and I don't know, they're just very up and down over the course of the past 15 years, it feels like, and, Washington and all the drama. Luckily, it seems like you're out of it, although,
Finally, man. Dan Snyder was a dark cloud over this organization for so long. I want to feel that as a Blazers fan, too, because it has been so refreshing to have Josh Harris as an owner, someone who actually seems like he's going to care about the team. And yeah, it's just been amazing to have a different owner, because every single Washington fan hated Dan Snyder, which is why our home field advantage was gone, because not a lot of fans didn't want to come to games simply because of Dan Snyder and how bad he's been since he took over the team years ago. So I'm so glad he's finally gone. That's why I'm optimistic about this year. I want to feel that as a Blazers fan too, so badly. Tell him to buy the Blazers too. Well, he owns the 76ers already, so I don't think he could do that.
Can he trade the 76ers to Jody for the Blazers? Please? We'll give out, like, at that point, screw it. Give Dame to the Sixers along with Jody.
Yeah. Can you imagine you could trade owners? That'd be funny.
I mean, the owners would have to, like, unanimously approve it, but, like, I think I don't know, like, I feel like maybe you could if the owners approved of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. Can owners trade their teams?
That would be interesting for sure.
But I once Dame's gone, that's just the final black dark cloud. Cronin and Jody, and 2 years from now, I feel like there's a good chance we're having we had the stream where Stotts was fired and we couldn't really stand him, so that was a happy stream for us.
Right.
Unfortunately, Chauncey has not been good. That's a completely different point, but once those two are gone, it's like this whole era that we've experienced the last 10 years, the last decade, is just completely wiped clean. And it'll be sad that Dame's gone, but it would be nice to kind of start fresh with a blank slate like that, in terms of owner, in terms of GM, maybe even in terms of coach, because a lot of owners will want to bring in their own people. Ishbia did it with Monty Williams this offseason because they didn't make it past the second round, so it would be kind of nice to just kind of restart as a Blazer fan.
Yeah, the day that Jody sells will be a absolute amazing day, and hopefully it happens at a time where Joe Cronin can be fired immediately as well.
Yeah, 100%. So, anyway, I think that's going to wrap up our stream. We almost went 2 hours. Anything else you kind of want to get off your chest before we sign off?
No, it was an honor to be here. I would love to be on here again if it ever came. An opportunity ever came again, so just let me know. But thank you guys in chat. It was an amazing stream, and I had a lot of fun, so thank you again. And then one thing I'll say, right before this, I actually recorded a video where I went back and we kind of talked about this earlier, but I went back and traded, or I didn't. I had Cameron Whitmore in the Blazers, basically. So that's like tomorrow's video, to like redid what I would have done this offseason if we were going to trade Dame.
Gotcha. That's interesting. So make sure to go subscribe to Crushables' channel. It is linked at the top of the description box. I'm also going to post it in chat right now. It's that link right there. In the description, I just put YouTube. I need to put Crushables' YouTube channel. So you guys can go subscribe to him and check out that video. Should be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to it. And then, yeah, we'll definitely do some stuff in the future. You know, I got a lot of big stuff planned for the channel and things next season. So just stay tuned. I'm really excited for what we have coming here at Blazers Uprise, and I'm really excited to, you know, hopefully do some more collaboration stuff with you and some other people, man, because, you know, it's kind of been me and Eric's thing, but there's, you know, a lot of cool people out there, and you know, you certainly know what you're talking about. You know, YouTube. You've built a 40,000 subscriber channel. Have you hit 40K yet?
We're almost there, 1,000 away.
Yeah, so go help them out. So yeah, looking forward to what we got coming up. That's a wrap for this edition of Blazers Uprise Live. On Thursday, we'll see what Thursday looks like. Eric is out of town until September. So actually planned on taking these 2 weeks off, but I'm glad I didn't, because it was fun to sit here and talk Blazers with you, man. And we'll see what we got coming up on Thursday. BetOnline was the sponsor for this stream. Use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for a 50% reward bonus. Hopefully, you guys have a good rest of your night, chat. Probably nothing before Thursday video-wise. If you missed that Stephen Vaughn 1v1, go check it out. Crush, I'm interested to hear, you know what? How much do I gotta? I will pay you to make a reaction video. I want to see you do a reaction video, because I feel like that'd be hilarious. Anyway, if you guys haven't watched that video, go check it out. With that being said, we're out of here. We'll catch you next time. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.